Hello, thanks for joining us. Today on Arts 24, a musical tradition born more than 700 years ago finds new life on the world's great concert stages. The Orchestral Qawwali Project began during lockdown and quickly captured a global audience, with millions drawn to its powerful fusion of sacred Sufi, Qawwali and Western orchestral music. They've performed across the UK, selling out London's Royal Albert Hall. At its heart are singer Abi Sampa and composer Rushil Ranjan, whose work bridges devotion and symphony, the ancient and the contemporary. This week, they bring their music to Paris for the first time, performing at the Salle Pleyel. I'm delighted to welcome Abi and Rushil to Arts 24. Thank you for being here.
Hi, lovely
Thank you
to
for
be
having
here.
us.
It's a pleasure to have you. Now, Abi, you trained in Carnatic classical music from South India. You also appeared on The Voice more than 10 years ago, The Voice UK. Rushil, you're self-taught. You were working in a law firm when this all began.
It was.
Tell us how this project started.
So I have always, as soon as I heard Qawwali music, which was probably about 15 years ago, I completely fell in love. And I was just singing it for the sheer love of it. And then I met Rushil Ranjan. I was singing it in a more traditional sense, which is a singer, backing vocals and a tabla. But when I met Rushil, he had this idea that, it would be so beautiful if we brought orchestral elements into it. So he kind of wrote and composed new scores to sit behind this music. Well, not even sit behind it, sit there with it. And it's just reimagined the art form completely.
Yeah.
And what was it about you that gripped you so much for this music?
It's really difficult to say because and I experience this with audiences as well, people who are unfamiliar with the music and the lyrics and the meanings, which is exactly the place I was in when I first heard it. And it just has this really transcendental ability to take people on this spiritual journey. It's like other forms of spiritual music from around the world. When you go and listen to the carols, or when you listen to other gospel music, you immediately feel that sense of divinity within it. And I still haven't quite put my finger on why, but it gripped me, and then
It's uplifting.
yeah, it just took me from there.
And it entered the world during lockdown, this project, when your interpretation of the 700-year-old song Man Kunto Molo went viral. Millions of people watched it. Why did it strike such a chord at that time, that song, do you think?
I think it was.
Go on.
I think it was also the time that it was released. I mean, we released it in January, just before lockdown. It's such a well-known piece, even within communities and outside. But it was just a new take on it. The dancer, the orchestral elements, just.
Yeah, and
hit a nerve.
it had no right to. It was like 13 minutes long. So if you speak to any record label executive, they'll say 13 minutes is far too long. But it just seemed to resonate with people. And then Coca-Cola picked it up and used it as their soundtrack for their Ramadan campaign for a little while. And it just kind of went from there. But we had no idea. We put it up on our little YouTube channel, and it just kind of...
That's amazing. Well, let's have a listen to it to remind our viewers. This is Man Kunto Maula. The lyrics are in various languages, including Urdu and Punjabi, yet people who don't understand the words are deeply moved. Some people have said that they cried, they're moved to tears all the way through your performances. You've sold out venues across the UK, including the Royal Albert Hall. Can you tell us a little bit about what the songs are about? What are they singing about?
No. So it's 700-year-old poetry, which speaks about Sufism. And if you look at the lyrics at face value, they almost seem like love songs. But really, the beautiful thing about Sufi poetry is there's a reflection of one's relationship with a lover and their relationship with God. And a lot of the poetry speaks to that.
It's very personal and really beautiful, and just written in a way that's very free and
Yeah, there's a lot of poetry by a really incredible Punjabi poet called Baba Bulle Shah, which really, I think it's the most plural form of religious poetry you can find. It speaks of how some people go to temples, some people go to mosques, some people go to churches, but we're all finding the same thing within ourselves. And that's what's captured in the music.
Yeah, something very important message today in
Yeah.
today's world. Abi, you are one of the few women leading a Qawwali ensemble, a tradition that has been historically dominated by men. Have you faced any resistance? What's it been like?
No, I don't think I have. I think, people have really welcomed us with open arms, and it hasn't really been anything that I personally come up against. So we're just really lucky and fortunate that way.
I think we find forms of resistance like this, be it from, Abi being a woman, or, for example, us introducing orchestral elements, but it's so dwarfed by how much warmth and positivity we've experienced from different audiences around the world, that as long as we ignore that stuff and pay attention to it, we just keep going.
Rushil, talk to us then about how you do approach the music, this music that's centuries old. When you approach it, what's your first instinct then? Is it preservation? Is it reinterpretation? Or is it having a conversation with the past?
It's interesting. It is having a conversation with the past, I think, to a degree. I think it's always important with these kinds of really, really central spiritual texts that are so important to the culture, that you really preserve the essence of what makes them spiritual when you're doing it. And that's really an intuitive thing. I can't say that there's a technical list of things that I go through in my mind when I'm writing. You know whether that essence is still within it when you listen to it.
I want us to listen to another piece that you did now. I was wondering if you could introduce it for us and tell us a bit more about it. Gah Ah.
Gah is a piece it's an old Punjabi poem, which the melody was composed by one of our tabla players, Amrit Dufar, and the meaning is come home, coming home.
Okay, let's take a listen to that. Now, Rushil, you've said your most spiritual experiences have been while playing Qawwali. Abi, you've said it's not really me singing, I'm allowing something greater to move through me. This week, you're going to be performing in the Salle Playel. Tell us what it's like then when you're in this sort of venue, a big venue with all this audience, and you're experiencing such a personal, spiritual moment.
To be honest, I'm sure if anyone comes to watch me perform, most of the time I have my eyes closed. So to me, it doesn't really matter where we are. We could be, in a very small performance space or the Royal Albert Hall. To me, it always is the same because I'm, just focused in on something else.
Yeah, performances can go one of two ways. If it's all going swimmingly well, you can kind of let go and really experience it. But I'd say it's moments within the performance where that really, really all comes together, and you can feel that connection. And
it's also our team as well. Our team is just such a close-knit, beautiful group of people that we're just so fortunate to be with.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
No. And it's also really handy it's really wonderful that we can play with local musicians. So we're playing with orchestral musicians from France. So we'll rehearse with them today and tomorrow, and then we'll perform with them, which is the wonderful thing about the project. Wherever we go, we play with the orchestra that's based there, and that's really
And you've talked about the Royal Albert Hall where you played. Now you're playing at this very classical, prestigious venue, the Salle Playel. What does that mean to bring your music there?
I love the idea of us expanding our definition of what we consider to be classical music, expanding our definition of the canon in that sense, because this is Indian classical music or South Asian classical music, and that's widely considered to be a really predominant classical form. And I think for a lot of us, including Abi, when we hear it, that's what classical music means to us. So I love the idea of considering it as classical music as well, in that sense.
Yeah, it's important. Well, we always end our shows with our guests' cultural pick of the moment. What have you chosen for us?
So we've picked Songs of the Bulbul, which is a dance piece by the extraordinary dancer Akash Odedra, and it's on tour at the moment around the world. So in the clip that you saw of Gara, he was the dancer within it. And it's a piece that he has put together that it's a Sufi piece, and it's a dance theatre piece which is really, really beautiful. It combines orchestral music with it, and it tells the story of a bird. These Sufi birds used to be captured and caged and made to sing, these beautiful songbirds, and their plight would get worse and worse and worse. And as their plight got worse, their song got more and more beautiful. And that's what the dance piece is about. And I won't say any more other than I really, really would recommend going to see it. It's very special.
And you composed the music for it.
Yeah.
I wrote the music for it, but that's not why I'm plugging it.
No, the images are beautiful.
Which is incredible.
We're going to leave you then with Songs of the Bulbul, which is on tour until March, including at the Sydney Opera House at the end of January. Abi and Rushil, thank you so much for coming and joining us on France 24. It's been a real pleasure. The Orchestral Qawwali Project will perform at the Salt Playel this Wednesday, the 28th of January. Thanks for watching. See you next time.